What is up, everybody? It is Online here. Welcome back to another video. And today I figured I had a pretty cool topic for today's video. A question I've been asked a lot, or like in some way or another, and that is how I got into YouTube and just how I got into gaming in general and what kind of, started that passion for me and to where I got to now. Now, I felt this was kind of like a fitting topic to talk about because I just recently passed my 6-year milestone here on YouTube. Now, not really officially been doing, YouTube for 6 years. That was like when I created my old channel back in the day. Made some pretty cringy videos, but some of the best videos I, ever made just for fun factor at the time. And yeah, so I'll talk about that later in the video, but that's kind of like where this whole thing started from. And yeah, I kind of just want to get into the story. I figured it's kind of like a story video today, just kind of like, a past experience and how I got into gaming, and I felt it was a pretty cool topic. Feel free to leave your comments down below, kind of your story, how you got into gaming, how you got into Uncharted. If you didn't get into Uncharted, what kind of game got you into the whole, YouTube side of things, what kind of, like, that kind of question I'm just, kind of answering in today's video. And yeah, let's just start into the story. So, back when I was a kid, maybe 6 or 7, pre the whole PS3 cycle, I always did, play games to some extent, whether that was the GameCube, whether that was the PS2, I did play some games, in some form or another, just not really die-hearted or, just for fun, pretty much. I still play games just for fun, but that was kind of like, how I played games as like a mindset. Of course, games that included that were kind of like Zelda, Wind Waker, or, Crash, Mind Over Mutant on the PS2. Those kind of games really took my childhood by storm, and I remember playing those games quite a bit back in the day. And yeah, that was pretty fun. But I remember specifically on Father's Day of 2007, my dad finally, decided to buy a PS3, the old model back in the day, just because, he was eyeing it for quite a bit, and, just seeing the jump from PS2 to PS3 got him excited for. And we went to Best Buy, I believe, and we picked up a PS3. I remember, getting back home, looking at the box on the back, and I think they even did have some, like, Little Big Planet, kind of teasers, just showing off what games are going to come on the system, or, to come on the system, I mean, and just, what they have so far, maybe Resistance at the time, because that was a pretty big game back then. Never really got into that, but, those kind of things were on the box, and, yeah, man, I love Little Planet back to this day, but I'll go into that point later. But it was really, really cool, a really cool moment. I remember booting up the PS3, and I think, like, one of the first games I ever played was Heavenly Sword by Ninja Theory. That was a great game. I think we did get to the boss battle in that game, but my dad just didn't have it in him to beat the boss battle. I mean, we sold the game a while ago, or I don't even know what happened to the game, but he just couldn't get past the boss battle. That was quite funny. I still kind of find it funny. I could probably destroy it by now, just being at my age and just how I play games, but I found that funny. Never be able to beat that, but that was definitely one of our first PS3 games, along with Ninja Gaiden. Those games are pretty hard, but I remember, just watching him play as a kid. That was pretty fun. Of course, this is the old PS3 store back in the day. Man, was that like a disaster. Wasn't cluttered with crap, but still had, just, I don't know, it was such a nostalgia feeling looking at the old PS3 store, and it was pretty cool, and just gives me nostalgia just looking at it. With the PS3 store, I did find a trailer on that PlayStation store that I mentioned to my dad, and that was Uncharted Drake's Fortune. It was a game that kind of caught my eye on there, and, just watching the trailer looked really cool. Kind of had, a young Indiana Jones kind of vibe to it. And I remember, specifically at the very end of the video, he makes like a jump between 2 rocks or something, like, across a river. Something that's not really that big, but like, big back in the day. And I just remember like, wow, that game looks really cool in the jungle setting. Definitely looks interesting. I'm not sure when I saw that, if I saw that before, the game came out, or, the game was already out on the PlayStation Store. I'm guessing, this was before the game came out, and that kind of like sparked our interest into that game, and eventually, when that time came, we did end up buying the game, I'm guessing sometime like within the first couple weeks of launch, and man, that game was terrific. That's like the game that really got me into gaming. I was hooked on. I remember specifically my dad going through the bunker part, with the Nazi zombies, and just seeing his reaction was not like, as scared as mine, obviously being a kid back in the day. And I remember like hiding on the stairs or whatever, just like, at 6 years old, being scared of that, because, when you're 6, you're looking at a TV, you kind of get immersed into that world, and just feeling like, you're part of it, and it's just, I remember being very scared. I find that funny to this day. That was funny. Obviously, now I could beat that on crushing first time. Really easy, honestly, and I don't find that scary at all, but man, that was funny back in the day. That really, that was like one of the most parts where I was really immersed into a video game. Kind of got me into that universe on the PS3. But later on, after we beat that game, it was great, a great experience. We didn't really think too much of it. That's kind of like the first Naughty Dog game I ever played. And, a little game called Little Big Planet. That's, no pun intended there, but, that came out later in 2008. That was a great game. I'll get to the part where I, really got into YouTube and gaming later on, but I feel like these games are kind of like, a hallmark to how I got there. 2008 pretty much consisted of 2 games for me, Little Planet and Batman Arkham Asylum. two very great series that I still keep dear to my heart to this day, and have some of the best gaming moments that I do remember. I remember talking to my friend at, my school back in the day about Batman Arkham Asylum, and just, like, if you guys remember Batman Arkham Asylum, you'll explicitly remember this hallway scene where you can punch guys, or you could just, choose not to, encounter them. I remember talking about that with my friend back in the day when I was 7. It was pretty fun. Or I guess I was 8 at the time, yeah. And that was a great game. I still have really, really fun memories, Killer Croc in that game, man. Definitely one of my favorite Batman Arkham games in the series to this date. Really great game, really linear. I liked it before it opened up. Really basic stuff and really fun. But along with that, that came out around the end of 2008, around that area. And we got a little trailer for Uncharted 2 Among Thieves, which I didn't know to this day would be my favorite game of all time. And just seeing him hanging on the train and just the difference that it, took between Uncharted Drake's Fortune into Among Thieves was crazy. And, of course, at the time, I wasn't really into YouTube or internet, so I couldn't find out about news about the game. So, after I saw the trailer, I was hyped for it. Couldn't wait. I'm sure my dad would have bought it whenever it came out. I never knew when it would come out, but I'm sure my dad would. But I remember in 2009, sometimes Game Informer had a special for Uncharted 2, and I remember, reading the magazine, seeing the cover, seeing the Nepal location. It just looked like a step up from Uncharted 1 in, every single, way. And I remember reading they're going to have multiplayer this time around. Didn't even know what that was, because I'd never played an online game for my life besides Little Planet. And, I was just hooked onto it, and man, when the game came, it was exactly like I read it to be, just read how it would be, and it was a great game. And honestly, putting in a great game feels like I'm putting it shortly. It's obviously my favorite game of all time for a reason, and not just the way the characters are, just the way that I got immersed into that world, and just, it got me into YouTube, honestly. Legit, that's the game that got me into YouTube, because I remember playing that game all day on multiplayer. And when my friend, Enoch, he's my neighbor. If you guys didn't know that, that's my friend Enoch. He's my neighbor.
Hi, YouTubers. Top Notch Gamer 1, 2, 3, 4. Enoch and Brandon. Brandon's playing. I'm the cameraman.
Shame.
I'm guessing a lot of you don't know who Enoch is, because he hasn't been in a video of mine for maybe even a year now. But we used to make a bunch of videos as a kid. I'm going to flash forward 2 years, because nothing really happened in those 2 years. Just played Uncharted 2 multiplayer. And I remember in 2011, we were playing Uncharted 2, obviously, like we always do. Some YouTubers I was watching at the time were like DatsQ, who was a really, really cool Uncharted 2 YouTuber. And obviously, I remember watching his videos all the time. Just, man, I wish I could, I just wish I could do something like that. And I started looking up online cameras, and of course I didn't know what a capture card was, because, I was 11 at the time, or 10 at the time, actually. I was 10 at the time. And I remember looking up some cameras, and I found the flip camera. So, I looked up some comparisons to, phone videos, even though I didn't have a phone at the time. I was like, hey, this is a pretty good camera. And later that day, my dad came home from work, and my sister had to get a dress for some kind of, dance for, I think middle school dance, something really cringy like that. And, well, when we went to, I forgot where we went to, something I'm not even sure where we went to, honestly. But I knew they sold, the flip there, and I remember telling my dad about it. It was only $100, and, well, he supported it, and he ended up buying me a camera, which was awesome. And honestly, if I didn't get a camera, I'm not even sure what I would have done, if I would have been able to even start YouTube. Obviously, as you guys know, with, getting your first videos out there, they were really cringy, and the first video I ever made was legit me, watching YouTube videos and just recording the actual videos and just posting them on my channel. Things like, trailers for movies, trailers for video games, and just posting them on my channel. I'll probably put a screenshot here. Man, not proud of it, but it's quite funny that I don't have, a really cringy commentary as my first video, although I did end up later, commenting over it. Of course, summer 2011, around that area, flash forwarding it there, we made a ton of videos on Uncharted 2, and then we found out that there was going to be an Uncharted 3 beta, which was awesome. And, as the time Uncharted 3 beta started rolling in, and Uncharted 3 in general, I got hit up by a guy named Vortex Gaming UK, and pretty much he told me, that we could start something together, or start, some kind of collaboration, kind of like what we do back in the day. And, well, he kind of opened my eyes into this whole Uncharted universe, or just this whole Uncharted YouTube community. That's how I found about Robin Gaming. That's how I found about a lot of people. In fact, I even think that Zach was in part of Robin's videos back in the day, if I remember correctly, and that was pretty cool. Specifically, I remember him talking about how we're gonna make, a top 5, Uncharted 3 clips back in the day. And, well, he was like, oh, I know a guy who snipes pretty well, and that was Uncharted Legacy video. Obviously, George, good friend of Robin's, and that was really cool, honestly, just looking back at the days. And I honestly have him to thank where I am now, because honestly, if he didn't get me into that whole Uncharted, community, I probably would have just kept doing what I was doing and recording off my flip camera, not knowing any better, not even, knowing where to talk to people, not even knowing who to watch, I didn't even know there was an Uncharted community when I was making videos back in the day. and it's really cool to see, you know, just how this channel has gone so far. Man, it's been a long journey. I figured I'd just talk to you guys. That's how I really got into YouTube. Uncharted 2, or I guess I could say Uncharted 3 really got me into YouTube, maybe, with Zach there. It was kind of like the Uncharted 2 to Uncharted 3 beta to Uncharted 3, that kind of like whole phase that got me into YouTube, and man, some of the best memories I have as a kid. So that's kind of really how I got into gaming and how I got into YouTube. Obviously, over time, like, you know, I think 2013 was the year that I declared that I was going to, you know, be more hardcore, so to speak, and just play games in general, not just stick to Uncharted multiplayer as a game, and just, you know, open my eyes. I think I started with Battlefield, and over time, you know, my channel has gotten more diverse in content, obviously, and I guess that's really how I got into YouTube. So pretty cool story. I hope you guys found it interesting. Definitely pretty cool. I love talking about the stuff because it kind of, you know, ponders on my childhood and nostalgia, and that's always a good time, you know, to talk about, and it's really fun. So, you know, if you guys want to list your story in the comments down below, I guess that would be a long video, but I guess you could, you know, mention some YouTubers that you watched that got you into it, or just a game in general that got you into YouTube. Pretty cool stuff. Again, this was kind of like a special for my 6th year coming on here. It just kind of like made me think about it. So, yeah, guys, I guess that's today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and yeah, guys, I have been online. Make sure to leave your comments, leave a like, subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace out.